Chapter 1. The test that changed everything. I clutched the pregnancy test, my hands trembling as the 2 pink lines stared back at me. 3 years with Clifford and now this, a baby. My first instinct was to call him, to blurt out the news and maybe, just maybe, hear him say we'd make it official. I was halfway through dialing when a cascade of glowing text floated across my vision, like some cursed augmented reality app one never signed up for. LOL. This Omega side piece actually thinks Clifford's gonna marry him over a baby? Clifford only picked him to mess with Dennis, the real deal. 3 years and this guy still doesn't get it. Talk about clueless. If Clifford finds out about the kid, he'll probably have it taken care of. And not in a fun way. Trust me, nobody keeps a pawn like that around. My stomach twisted. The test slipped from my fingers, clattering onto the bathroom tile. Bullet comments, some freaky supernatural nonsense, had been popping up for weeks, but this was a gut punch. They were saying I was just a tool to make Dennis, Clifford's supposed true love, jealous. Placeholder. A nobody. The phone buzzed in my hand. Clifford's name flashed on the screen. I froze, my thumb hovering over the answer button. Once, twice, 3 rings. No pickup. I was about to hang up when his voice came through, low and smooth, like he was cradling a glass of bourbon. Bobby? What's up, babe? A pause, then a softer tone. I was in a meeting. Didn't hear the phone. Sorry. Classic Clifford. 3 words when 10 would do. Normally, I'd tease him for it, maybe call him Mr. Iceberg or something dumb to make him crack a smile. But now, my mouth was dry, my voice barely a whisper. Nothing. Wrong number. Wrong number. His tone sharpened, like he could smell the lie through the phone. You okay? Why yeah, I'm fine. I forced a laugh, but it came out like a choke. But dialed you. You know me, clumsy fingers. Keep ruling the corporate jungle, okay? I'll let you go. The bullet comments flickered again. Clifford hates kids. Hates anyone who tries to trap him with one even more. Tell him about the baby, and he'll have you both erased. I swallowed hard. I'd seen Clifford lose it once. Some guy crossed him, ended up in a basement with a face like raw hamburger and limbs that didn't bend right anymore. I stumbled into that mess by accident, nearly puked on the spot. Clifford had cleaned himself up, blindfolded me, and carried me out like nothing happened. I'd let myself forget that side of him, lulled by 3 years of his hands on my waist, his rare smiles, his credit card with no limit. But now, I wasn't betting my life, or my kids, on his softer side. Babe! Clifford's voice cut through my panic. You just called me by my full name. What's going on? My heart skipped. He sounded annoyed, maybe even dangerous. I scrambled for a save. Oh, come on, honey, I purred, laying it on thick. Just testing if you're paying attention. You're busy, right? I'll behave, promise. He grunted, satisfied for now. Fine. Check your account, I sent you some cash. Go have fun. $3 million fun, to be exact. The guy was a walking ATM. I hung up, my knees buckling as I slid down the bathroom wall. Cold sweat prickled my skin. Clifford was good to me, better than I deserved sometimes. 3 years ago, my foster parents kicked me out when they found out I wasn't their real kid. No money, no skills, just an Omega with a pretty face and 0 prospects. My foster brother Dennis, the golden boy, had smirked and pointed me toward a high-end club. You're a top-tier Omega, Bobby. Flash that smile, pour some drinks, make bank. I was naive enough to believe him. Thought I'd be serving cocktails, not dodging handsy alphas with beer guts and bad breath. One of them got too close, his pheromones making my head spin. I bolted, crashed into Clifford's 6 feet of chiseled jawline and cedar-scented alpha energy. I clung to him, tears in my eyes, begging him to get me out. He didn't hesitate, took down the creeps like they were paper targets, then carried me to a penthouse suite. I thought he'd leave me there, but my heat hit hard. No suppressants, no control. I grabbed his leg, kissed him like my life depended on it. He froze, but I was too far gone to care. One thing led to another, and by morning, I was a mess of sore limbs and regret. Tried to sneak out, but he caught me. Bobby, you planning to hit and run? I stammered, mortified. I don't have cash to pay you. He laughed, a low rumble that made my cheeks burn. I don't need your money. His eyes, sharp and teasing, locked onto mine. You want to stick around? Be mine. I knew what be mine meant. I kept Omega a sidekick, not a boyfriend. But I had no other options. So I said yes. 3 years later, I thought we were more. Thought we were in love. The bullet comments begged to differ. Now, sitting on the bathroom floor, I stared at the pregnancy test. My body wasn't built for kids. Doctor said I had a 1 in a million shot at conceiving. Yet here we were. I'd been so happy, picturing a future with Clifford, a ring, a family. But the bullet comments painted a different picture. Me as the fool, Clifford laughing with Dennis, my kid and I tossed aside like trash. I stood, legs shaky, and tucked the test into my pocket. No way was I telling him now. Not until I knew what game he was playing. If Clifford was using me to get to Dennis, I needed a plan. Step 1. Keep my mouth shut. Step 2. Figure out if I could trust him. Step 3. Well, I'd get there when I got there. My phone pinged. A text from Brad, my one real friend. Yo, you alive? Drinks tonight? I typed back, fingers still trembling. Maybe. Got some stuff to figure out. Stuff like what? Your sugar daddy being extra? Brad's reply was instant, complete with a winking emoji. I snorted despite myself. Something like that. I'll call you later. Brad would have ideas. He always did. For now, I needed to play it cool, act like nothing was wrong. Clifford wasn't stupid. He'd notice if I started acting weird. I glanced at the mirror, forcing a smile. You got this, Bobby? I muttered. Just don't screw it up. The bullet comments flickered again, mocking me. He's gonna screw it up. Watch him spill the beans and cry when Clifford ditches him. I flipped off the air, like the comments could see me. Screw you too, I whispered. If Clifford was playing me, I'd find out. And if he wasn't, well, I'd deal with that when the time came. For now, I had a baby to protect, and a heart to keep from breaking. Chapter 2, Shadows of Southtown. I sat in the hospital waiting room, the pregnancy test burning a hole in my pocket. The sterile smell made my stomach churn, but I forced myself to focus. No more daydreams about Clifford sweeping me off my feet. The bullet comments had me paranoid, and I wasn't taking chances. I grabbed my phone and booked an appointment for an abortion, my fingers shaking as I confirmed the date. Felt like betrayal, but what choice did I have? If Clifford was just using me to mess with Dennis, I couldn't risk him finding out about the baby. Yo, the Omega's actually gonna ditch the kid? That's cold. Bet he cancels last minute. I glared at the floating text. Mind your own business, I muttered, shoving my phone away. The comments were relentless, like a Greek chorus from hell, but I wasn't here to entertain them. I stood, ready to leave, when my phone buzzed. Clifford. Home yet, babe? His voice was warm, like he hadn't just spent hours in a boardroom crushing souls. Yeah, just running errands. I winced at how weak that sounded. You good? Missed you. Come home. I'm in the mood for takeout and a movie. My heart did a stupid flip. Damn him for sounding so normal. Sure, I'll be there soon. I hung up, my chest tight. 3 years of his late-night kisses and lazy mornings had me fooled, but the bullet comments were clear. I was a placeholder, nothing more. When I got home, the penthouse was dark except for the glow of the city skyline. Clifford was sprawled on the couch, tie loosened, looking like a cologne ad. Before I could say hi, he pulled me into his lap, his lips crashing against mine. My body reacted on instinct, leaning in until a wave of nausea hit. I pushed him back, harder than I meant to. Cliff, stop. His eyes narrowed, dark and unreadable. What's wrong? Nothing. I scrambled for an excuse, my palms sweaty. I ate some bad sushi. Kinda queasy. He studied me like he could see through my lie. You sure that's it? Yeah, totally. I forced a grin, but it felt like plastic. Just need a sec to not puke on your fancy suit. He didn't laugh, just kept staring. Finally, he pulled me onto the couch, his arm around my shoulders. You'd tell me if something was up, right? Of course. My voice cracked, but I covered it with a cough. He didn't push, just rubbed my back like I was a kid with a stomachache. It was sweet, too sweet, and it made me want to scream. If he was so good to me, why did the bullet comments say I was disposable? The next morning, Jake, Clifford's right-hand guy, was in the kitchen, flipping through papers. Boss is heading to Southtown for a deal, he said, not looking up. Some big-shot investor. You coming? Southtown. I froze, coffee mug halfway to my mouth. The bullet comments had mentioned Southtown, Clifford's old stomping ground, where he met his first love. Dennis. Why there? Jake shrugged. Dunno. Boss went to high school there. Probably nostalgic or whatever. Nostalgic, I echoed, my stomach sinking. Right? Southtown's where Clifford fell for Dennis. Bet he's dreaming of those old days while Bobby tags along like a lost puppy. I gritted my teeth. I'm going with him, I said, louder than necessary. Jake raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. If Clifford was mooning over Dennis, I needed to see it for myself. Maybe then I'd know if I was just a pawn in his game. The drive to Southtown was quiet. Clifford focused on his tablet while I stared out the window. Jake's voice crackled through the car speakers, gossiping with another guy. Southtown's where the boss had his first crush, right? Some scrappy kid he worked with at a diner. Crush, I blurted, leaning forward. Who was it? Jake laughed, oblivious to my panic. Dunno, man. Boss doesn't talk about it. Just heard he was head over heels back in the day. Clifford glanced up, his expression unreadable. Jake, shut it. Jake chuckled nervously. Sorry, boss. Just saying, Southtown's gotta bring back memories. I forced a smile, but my mind was racing. The bullet comments filled in the blanks. Clifford and Dennis were tight in Southtown. Worked together, fell in love, the whole deal. Bobby's just the rebound who doesn't know it yet. My throat tightened. I turned to Clifford, keeping my voice light. So, Southtown. That where you met your first love? He stiffened, his fingers pausing on the tablet. After a long moment, he looked out the window, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Yeah. One word, and it felt like a knife. I nodded, pretending it didn't hurt. Cool. Must be nice to revisit. He didn't answer, just went back to his tablet. I leaned back, biting my lip to keep from saying something stupid. The bullet comments were right. Southtown was his and Dennis's place, not mine. I was just the idiot who thought 3 years meant something. We pulled up to an old high school, all brick and faded glory. Clifford had a meeting with some investor who'd built a mansion nearby, but I barely listened as he explained. My eyes kept drifting to the school, imagining a younger Clifford with Dennis, laughing, stealing kisses. The bullet comments didn't help. Look at him, probably thinking about Dennis right now. Poor Bobby, chasing a guy who's already checked out. Shut up, I whispered under my breath, hoping Clifford didn't hear. He didn't, but he did notice me staring at the school. You okay, babe? He touched my arm, his voice soft. Yeah, just curious. I forced a laugh, wondering what teenage Clifford was like. Bet you were a heartbreaker. He smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. I was a punk. Come on, let's get this meeting over with. The meeting was in a swanky lounge, all dim lights and overpriced whiskey. I stuck close to Clifford, playing the dutiful arm candy, but the air felt thick with pheromones. I excused myself to the bathroom, needing a breather. On my way back, I bumped into 2 alphas, one with a scarred hand, the other leering like I was on the menu. Well, the younger one said, stepping too close. Aren't you that Omega who hooked up with Clifford? Back to working the clubs. Huh. I froze, my skin crawling. You've got the wrong guy, I said, stepping back. The scarred one grabbed his buddy's shoulder. Dude, chill. His boyfriend's. Boyfriend, the leering alpha laughed, pulling out a business card. I'll pay you double what he does. 50 grand a month. Ditch the suit and come with me. Take the deal, Bobby. Clifford's gonna dump you for Dennis anyway. This guy's your best shot. I stared at the card, my hands shaking. 3 years ago, I might have considered it. Clifford had paid for my degree, taught me how to invest, made sure I'd never have to go back to that life. But now, with a baby on the way and a heart full of doubts, I opened my mouth to say no, but a cold voice cut me off. Bobby, Clifford said, his cedar scent hitting me like a wall. His hand clamped onto my neck, not hard but firm. What's this about considering something? The alphas paled. The card hit the floor. I turned, meeting Clifford's eyes, dark, dangerous, and fixed on me like I was the only thing in the room. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. Chapter 3, The Gala Gambit. The alpha's business card lay on the floor, a taunting reminder of how close I'd come to making a stupid choice. Clifford's grip on my neck loosened, but his eyes stayed sharp, pinning me in place. The 2 alphas mumbled apologies and scrambled away, leaving me alone with him in the dimly lit lounge hallway. My stomach churned, not just from the baby but from the weight of his stare. Cliff, I started, but a wave of nausea cut me off. I shoved past him, bolting for the bathroom. I barely made it to the sink before dry heaving, my hands gripping the cold porcelain. The bullet comments flickered in my vision, relentless as ever. Wow, Bobby's really falling apart. Can't even handle a little jealousy without puking. I splashed water on my face, ignoring the taunts. By the time I stumbled out, the alphas were gone, and Clifford was waiting, his face a mix of concern and something darker. "You good?" he asked, voice low. "Yeah, just bad sushi again." I forced a weak smile, hoping he'd buy it. "Let's get out of here." He didn't push, but the ride back was silent, the air heavy. Clifford's hand rested on my thigh, possessive, but he didn't speak. I kept my eyes on the window, trying not to think about the bullet comments or the way his touch still made my pulse race. When we got home, he pulled me into bed, kissing my neck gently. "Get some rest," he murmured, and I nodded, faking sleep until his breathing evened out. The next morning, I woke to an empty bed and a text from Clifford. "Got a meeting. Be back tonight." "No, babe." No emoji. Cold. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, when my phone buzzed again. "Brad. Yo, you alive? Heard you had a rough night." I snorted, typing back. "Rough's an understatement. You free? Need to vent. Always. Meet me at the diner in an hour." At the diner, Brad slid into the booth across from me, his beta grin all mischief. "So, spill. What's got you looking like you saw a ghost?" I hesitated, then leaned in, voice low. "I'm pregnant, and I think Clifford's using me to screw with Dennis." Brad's jaw dropped. "Pregnant? Damn, Bobby. And Dennis? That prick from your old family? What's he got to do with this?" I told him about the bullet comments, the Southtown rumors, the way Clifford clammed up about his past. Brad listened, sipping his coffee, then leaned back. "Sounds like you're jumping to conclusions. Clifford's crazy about you. Ever think those creepy comments are just wrong?" "They know stuff," I said, shaking my head, like they're reading his mind. "If he's in love with Dennis, I'm just a placeholder. And this baby?" I stopped, my throat tight. "I can't risk it." Brad sighed. "Okay, fine. What's the plan? You gonna confront him?" "Not yet." I fiddled with my napkin. "Dennis is back in town. I'm waiting to see what Clifford does. If he's playing me, I'll know soon." Brad raised an eyebrow. "And if he's not?" I didn't answer. I didn't know. That evening, my phone rang. My foster mom's name flashed on the screen, a name I hadn't seen in 3 years. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity won. "Bobby," she said, her voice clipped. "We're throwing a gala for Dennis. He's back from Europe. Come to the estate tonight. This time we reconnect." Reconnect? After they kicked me out for not being their real kid? I almost laughed. "Why now?" "It's a family event," she said, like that explained anything. 7 o'clock. Don't be late." I hung up, my gut twisting. The bullet comments chimed in. "Dennis is back to claim his spot. Bobby's about to get humiliated at this gala. Bet Clifford shows up for Dennis, not him." I ignored them, texting Brad. "Gala tonight. Foster fam invited me. Smells like a trap." "Trap or not, you're going?" He replied. "Yeah. Gotta pay them back for raising me, then I'm done." I spent the day liquidating gifts Clifford had given me. Watches, a car, some gaudy art. Everything but the diamond-studded watch on my wrist, worth more than my old apartment. Brad's friend was handling the sales, and my bank account was already looking fat. If I had to run, I'd be ready. The gala was at a sprawling estate, all chandeliers and champagne flutes. I wore a tailored suit, kept my head down, and found a corner to sip my drink. The place buzzed with rich kids and their alpha entourages, all fawning over Dennis, who floated through the crowd like royalty. I spotted him across the room, all sharp cheekbones and smug smiles. My stomach twisted. Was Clifford here for him? Before I could dwell, a group of alphas cornered me, their pheromones thick and sour. "Well, look who it is," one sneered, a guy with a trust fund smirk. The fake heir turned gold digger. "Heard you stole Dennis's life and his man." I gripped my glass, forcing a grin. "You guys got a hobby? Or is gossiping your whole personality?" The leader stepped closer, his breath hot. "You think you're cute? Stealing Dennis's spot? Cozying up to Clifford? Bet you're just a cheap." I didn't let him finish. My champagne hit his face, and he sputtered, red-faced. "You little—" He lunged, but his buddies grabbed me first, dragging me toward a shadowy corner. No cameras, no witnesses. My heart pounded as their hands tightened, their laughter cruel. You're nothing, one hissed. Just a used Omega Clifford's gonna toss when Dennis takes him back. I struggled, but they were too strong. Just as I opened my mouth to scream, a familiar cedar scent hit me. Clifford. He shoved through the crowd, his face thunderous. Let him go, he growled, and the alphas froze, their bravado crumbling. One tried to stammer an excuse, but Clifford didn't wait. He yanked the leader off me, his fist connecting with the guy's jaw. The others backed off, muttering apologies. Clifford pulled me into his arms, his eyes scanning me for injuries. You okay, babe? I nodded, my throat tight, but then I saw Dennis watching us, his smile tight and fake. The bullet comments erupted. Clifford's just saving face. He's here for Dennis, not Bobby. This is all a show. I didn't care. If this was a game, I'd play dirtier. I threw my arms around Clifford, burying my face in his chest. They were gonna hurt me. I whined, loud enough for the room to hear. Said they'd drag me off after the party, Cliff. I was so scared. The crowd gasped, heads turning. Clifford's jaw clenched, his arm tightening around me. Nobody touches you, he said, loud and final. He glared at Dennis, who looked like he'd swallowed a lemon, then turned to Jake. Find out who these clowns are. They're done. I caught Dennis's eye and smirked, just for a second. If Clifford was playing me, I'd make sure Dennis felt the heat too. But as Clifford led me out, his hand warm on my back, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something. Something big. Chapter 4, Heat of the Night. Clifford's arms stayed around me as we left the gala, his cedar scent grounding me even as my head spun. The bullet comments were screaming, calling me a drama queen, saying Clifford's hero act was just for show. I didn't care. I'd made Dennis squirm, and that was a win. But back at the penthouse, Clifford's mood shifted. He didn't speak, just poured himself a whiskey and sat on the couch, staring at the city lights. I hovered near the door, unsure if I was welcome. You gonna tell me what that was about? He finally said, not looking at me. What? I played dumb, kicking off my shoes. Those jerks at the gala? They started it. Not that. His voice was low, edged with something I couldn't place. You've been off. Distant. Like you're hiding something. My heart skipped. Did he know about the baby? I forced a laugh, flopping onto the couch beside him. Me? Hiding? Cliff, I'm an open book. You're the one with the poker face. He didn't smile, just took a sip of his drink, his eyes flicking to mine. You'd tell me if you were in trouble, right? Obviously. I leaned in, resting my head on his shoulder, hoping it'd throw him off. I'm fine, babe. Just tired of rich kids and their crap. He relaxed a fraction, his hand finding mine. Nobody's touching you again. I made that clear. I nodded, but the bullet comments flickered. Relentless. He's just keeping Bobby close until Dennis makes his move. Don't fall for the night act, idiot. I ignored them, letting Clifford pull me closer. He kissed my temple, soft and deliberate, like he was trying to prove something. For a moment, I wanted to believe it was real. But then my phone buzzed. Brad. You okay? Heard you caused a scene. Clifford mad? I typed back under the blanket of Clifford's arm. I'm fine. He's being weirdly sweet. Not sure what's up. Sweet? Watch out, man. That's how they get you. Call me tomorrow. I tucked my phone away, but Clifford's warmth was too much. I mumbled an excuse about needing a shower and slipped away, locking the bathroom door. The bullet comments were right. He was too good at this, too good at making me feel safe. But if I was just a stand-in for Dennis, I couldn't let my guard down. The next few days were tense. Clifford was home more, watching me like I might bolt. I kept up the act. Flirty smiles, casual touches, but every night, I checked my bank account, watching the numbers climb as Brad's friend sold off more of Clifford's gifts. I hadn't canceled the abortion appointment yet. It loomed like a storm cloud. Then Jake called, his voice frantic. Bobby, you gotta talk to the boss. He's losing it at the office. Says you're acting weird. Thinks you're planning to ditch him. Me? Ditch him? I laughed, but it sounded hollow. He's the one who's been weird. Yeah, well, he's got us all working overtime and I'm dying here. Help a guy out. I sighed. Fine. I'll talk to him. That night, Clifford came home early, carrying a box from my favorite bakery. Peace offering, he said, setting it on the counter. Inside was a tray of blueberry tarts, the kind I'd kill for. He cut one, holding a forkful to my lips. We good, babe? I took a bite, the sweetness almost too much. Yeah, we're good. I forced a grin, but my stomach flipped, not from the baby but from guilt. He was trying, and here I was, planning my escape. He's just buttering you up. Dennis is back, and Clifford's keeping you docile until he's done with you. I swallowed hard, pushing the tart away. Cliff, I'm not feeling great. Think I'll crash early. He frowned but didn't argue, just kissed my forehead. Sleep it off. I'm here. I nodded, retreating to the bedroom. But sleep didn't come. The bullet comments kept taunting, saying Clifford was meeting Dennis behind my back, that I was a fool for staying. I stared at the ceiling, my hand on my stomach. I couldn't keep this up much longer. The next night, everything went sideways. Clifford came home late, his scent sharper, wilder. Alpha easy period. I'd seen it before. He got intense, territorial, like a wolf on edge. He didn't say a word, just pulled me into his arms, his lips crashing against mine. I tried to keep up, but my body was a mess, torn between want and nausea. Cliff, slow down, I gasped, pushing against his chest. He didn't stop, his hands roaming, his pheromones overwhelming. Babe, I need you, he murmured, biting my neck, right over my scent gland. I shivered, my body betraying me as his cedar scent flooded my senses. He's using you as a substitute. Bet he's picturing Dennis right now. Tears stung my eyes. Was that true? Was I just a warm body to get him through his easy period? I let him pull me to the bed, my mind screaming to stop, but my body wouldn't listen. His kisses were desperate, his hands rough but careful, like he was holding himself back. I clung to him, hating myself for wanting it, for wanting him. You're mine, he whispered, his voice raw. You know that, right? I nodded, tears spilling over. Yeah, I choked out, but the bullet comments laughed. Mine? Ha, he's calling you babe. But he's thinking of Dennis. Poor Bobby, crying over a guy who's already checked out. I turned my face into the pillow, hiding my tears. Clifford didn't notice, too caught in his easy period haze. When it was over, he pulled me close, his breathing heavy. I lay there, my heart pounding, my mind racing. This wasn't love. Couldn't be. Not if he was just using me. The next morning, he was still asleep, his arm heavy across my waist. I slipped out, my body aching, and grabbed my phone. A text from the hospital. Your appointment is tomorrow. Last chance to reschedule. I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the cancel button. I hadn't decided yet, but I knew one thing. I couldn't stay here. Not with the bullet comments screaming, not with Dennis back in town, not with Clifford's easy period making me question everything. I crept to the closet, pulling out a duffel bag. I packed light, cash, clothes, the essentials. The diamond watch stayed on my wrist, a reminder of what I was leaving behind. I glanced at Clifford, still sleeping, his face softer than I'd ever seen. For a second, I wanted to crawl back into bed, pretend none of this was happening. But the bullet comments were clear. Stay and I'd lose everything. I texted Brad. I'm out. Tomorrow. Help me set it up. Hell yeah, he replied. My brother Mike's got connections. You're not doing this alone. I took one last look at Clifford, then slipped out the door. The hospital was waiting, and so was my future, whatever was left of it. Chapter 5. The hospital standoff. The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I stood in the waiting room, clutching my phone. My appointment was in an hour, and my nerves were shot. The bullet comments hadn't stopped, their glowing text mocking me from thin air. Bobby's really going through with it? Gotta hand it to him, kid's got guts. Too bad Clifford's gonna find him and make him regret it. I shoved my hands in my pockets, trying to ignore them. I'd been dodging Clifford's calls since I slipped out of the penthouse last night, my duffel bag stuffed with cash and clothes. Brad's brother, Mike, had promised to get me out of the country, but I needed to handle this first. One last step and I'd be free. A raspy voice interrupted my thoughts. Bobby, you owe me, you little brat. My uncle, a scruffy guy with a limp and a rap sheet, grabbed my arm. He'd been tailing me since I left Clifford, demanding money or a ticket out of town. Your boyfriend's the one who broke my leg. Take me with you, or I'm turning you in for the reward. I yanked my arm free. Back off, Carl. I'm not your meal ticket. He sneered, stepping closer. Clifford's offering $3 million to anyone who finds you. I could use that cash. My stomach dropped. $3 million. Clifford was hunting me. I opened my mouth to tell Carl to get lost when a familiar cedar scent hit me. I froze, my heart pounding. Footsteps echoed down the hall, deliberate and heavy. Clifford. He appeared at the end of the corridor, flanked by Jake and a half-dozen suited guys. His face was a storm, eyes locked on me like I was the only thing in the world. "Bobby," he said, voice low and dangerous. "I know about the baby. Come home." My breath caught. He knew? How? I backed up, my hands shaking. "Stay back, Cliff." Carl, the idiot, kept yapping. "See? He's here for you. Pay me or I'll—" "Shut up," Clifford snapped, not even glancing at him. His eyes never left mine. "Babe, we need to talk." "Talk?" I laughed, bitter and sharp. "About what?" "How I'm just your side piece until Dennis takes my place." His brow furrowed, confusion flickering across his face. "Dennis? What the hell are you talking about?" "Oh, this is rich. Bobby's gonna cry when Clifford drags him back. Dennis is waiting and this kid's toast." I ignored the comments, my voice rising. "Don't play dumb. I know I'm just a placeholder. You and Dennis, your big love story. I'm not sticking around to get screwed over." Clifford took a step forward, his hands raised like I was a spooked animal. "Bobby, you've got it all wrong." "I don't." Before he could finish, a new voice cut through. "Cliff, tell him the truth." Dennis shoved past Jake, his face a mix of desperation and smugness. "You've been stringing him along, but I'm back now. Tell him." The bullet comments went wild. Yes, Dennis dropping truth bombs. Bobby's about to get dumped in front of everyone. Clifford's jaw clenched, his eyes flashing with something dark. He turned to Dennis, and for a second I thought he'd agree. Instead, he pulled a gun from his coat, aiming it at Dennis's arm. "Say one more word," he growled, "and you'll regret it." Dennis froze, his bravado crumbling. "Cliff, you can't." The shot was deafening. Dennis yelped, clutching his arm as blood seeped through his sleeve. The hospital staff screamed, and Clifford's guys moved to block the exits. I stood there, stunned, as Clifford turned back to me, his face softer but no less intense. "Bobby, I'm not with him. I never was." My head spun. The bullet comments were screaming, calling the plot a mess, but I barely registered them. Clifford took another step, and I panicked, pulling a pocket knife from my bag. I pressed it to my throat, my hand trembling. "Don't come closer, Cliff. I mean it." His eyes widened, real fear breaking through his calm. "Babe, put it down. Please. Back off." I shouted, tears stinging my eyes. 3 years, and you never said we had a future. Now you know about the baby and what? You're gonna make sure it's gone? Like the comments said. "Comments?" He looked confused, then angry. "What comments?" "Bobby, I don't know what you're seeing, but I'm not letting you hurt yourself. He's lying. He'll kill the kid and lock Bobby away. Run, you idiot." I shook my head, the knife cold against my skin. "You don't get it. I'm done being your pawn. I'm leaving, and you're not stopping me." Clifford's face cracked, pain flashing in his eyes. "Pawn? Bobby, you're everything to me." Before he could finish, a hand grabbed my collar, yanking me backward. Brad's brother appeared out of nowhere, his alpha presence overwhelming. "Time to go," he said, dragging me toward a side exit. Clifford shouted my name, but Mike's guys blocked his path, and the hospital erupted into chaos. We sprinted to a waiting car, Mike shoving me into the back. Brad was there, his face pale. "Holy crap, Bobby, you okay?" I nodded, still clutching the knife. "He shot Dennis." "Why would he do that?" Brad exchanged a look with Mike. "Maybe your boy's not as predictable as you think." Mike floored it, the car peeling out as sirens wailed in the distance. I leaned back, my heart racing. The bullet comments were quieter now, confused, like they didn't know what to make of Clifford's move. What the hell? Clifford's gone rogue. This wasn't in the script. I ignored them, staring out the window. Mike glanced at me in the rearview. "Got a plane waiting. You sure about this?" "Yeah," I said, but my voice wavered. Clifford's face, his fear, his pain, stuck with me. Why shoot Dennis? Why look at me like I was breaking him? Brad nudged me. "You're thinking too hard. Clifford's got his own mess. You focus on you and the kid." I nodded, but doubt gnawed at me. On the plane, Mike handed me a burner phone. "Use this. No tracking. We'll land in a few hours, and my guys will set you up." "Thanks," I said, my voice small. Brad sat next to me, scrolling through his phone. "Question," he said, not looking up. Clifford shot Dennis to shut him up. Not exactly the move of a guy in love with him. You sure those creepy comments are legit? I didn't answer. The bullet comments were muttering now, confused about Clifford's plot twist. I stared at the phone, my finger hovering over Clifford's number. I didn't call. Instead, I texted the hospital, rescheduling the appointment. I wasn't sure about the baby, about Clifford, about anything. But as the plane took off, I knew one thing. I wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. Chapter 6. Truth in the Villa. Ring on my finger. The plane landed in a quiet coastal town. The kind of place where nobody asked questions. Mike's guys set me up in a modest apartment with a view of the ocean, far from Clifford's reach. I spent the first week jumping at every noise, expecting his goons to kick down the door. But nothing came, no calls, no texts, no bullet comments. The silence was worse than their taunts. I kept my hand on my stomach, feeling the faint flutter of life, and wondered if I'd made the right call. Brad stuck around, crashing on my couch and eating my snacks. You gotta chill, Bobby, he said, tossing me a bag of chips. You're safe. Mike's got this place locked down tighter than a bank vault. I snorted, catching the bag. Yeah, until Clifford decides to play bounty hunter again. Brad rolled his eyes. You're still hung up on him. After everything. He shot Dennis, I said, staring at the floor. That's not nothing. Exactly. Brad threw his hands up. Guy shoots his supposed true love to protect you, and you're still moping? Maybe those weird comments were full of crap. I didn't answer. The bullet comments had been quiet since the hospital, like they'd short-circuited when Clifford pulled the trigger. I almost missed their snark. It was easier to hate Clifford when they were egging me on. Now I just felt lost. Mike popped in one morning, his usual scowl softened. Got a job lined up for you. Art gallery, low-key. You in? I nodded, grateful for the distraction. Yeah, thanks. I need something to do before I lose it. He smirked. Good. And stop looking over your shoulder. Nobody's coming. I wanted to believe him. I started sketching again, simple stuff to sell at the gallery. Brad dragged me to movies, trying to play matchmaker with Mike, who shut it down with a glare. Not my type, Mike said, tossing popcorn at Brad. You're enough trouble. Brad grinned. You love it. I laughed, the first real one in weeks. But that night, alone in my bed, I couldn't shake Clifford's face. His panic when I held the knife, his voice when he said I was everything. What if Brad was right? What if I'd been wrong? 2 weeks later, I was sketching by the lake when Mike tensed beside me. Trouble, he muttered, nodding toward the trees. My heart stopped. Clifford emerged, dragging a bruised Dennis by the collar. Jake trailed behind, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Bobby, Clifford called, his voice steady but raw. We need to talk. I stood, my sketchpad falling to the grass. Talk? You hunted me down like a dog, Cliff. He let go of Dennis, who stumbled but stayed quiet. I'm not here to hurt you. I never was. What the hell is this? Clifford's gone full psycho. This isn't the happy ending we signed up for. The bullet comments were back, frantic and confused. I ignored them, stepping forward. Then why's Dennis here? Parade your real boyfriend in front of me? Clifford's jaw tightened. He's not my boyfriend. Never was. He shoved Dennis forward. Tell him. Dennis glared, clutching his bandaged arm. It was a system, he spat. Some tech I found overseas. It projected those comments you saw, made you think you were nothing. I wanted you gone so I could have Cliff. I blinked, my head spinning. The bullet comments? Were you? Yeah, Dennis said, defiant. And it worked. You ran. Clifford grabbed his shoulder. Hard. You almost cost me everything. He turned to me, his eyes soft but desperate. Bobby, you're my first love. Southtown? That was you. I met you at that diner before your foster family screwed you over. I never forgot you. My breath caught. You never said. I thought you knew. He stepped closer, ignoring Mike's warning growl. I didn't talk about a future because I was scared you'd bolt. But I love you. Always have. No way. We got the wrong couple. This is a scam. The comments were screaming, but I barely heard them. Clifford's words hit like a tidal wave. Southtown. The diner. I remembered a quiet alpha who tipped too much, who smiled when I spilled coffee on his shirt. Was that him? Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice breaking. I tried, he said, wincing. That day in Southtown you asked about my first love. I said it was you, But you weren't listening. I flushed, remembering how I tuned him out, lost in my own fears. I messed up. No, he said, closing the gap. I should have been clearer. I'm not letting you go again. Mike stepped forward, hand on his gun. Back off, man. He's not your property. Clifford didn't flinch. I'm not here to own him. I'm here to ask. He pulled a ring from his pocket, simple but gleaming. Bobby, marry me. Stay with me. Raise our kid together. My throat tightened. The bullet comments were howling, calling it a betrayal, but they felt distant, like static. I looked at Clifford, his eyes raw with hope, and then at Dennis, who looked like he'd swallowed glass. You shot him, I said, nodding at Dennis. Why? Because he lied to you, Clifford said. Tried to tear us apart. I'd do it again. I laughed, shaky and real. You're crazy. For you? Yeah. He held out the ring. So, what's it gonna be? I hesitated, then took it, sliding it onto my finger. Fine, but you're cooking tonight. He grinned, pulling me into his arms. The cedar scent wrapped around me, warm and right. Mike sighed, holstering his gun. Guess I'm out a client. Brad clapped him on the shoulder. Come on, let's grab a beer. These two need a minute. Back at Clifford's villa, he introduced me to an old guy who ran the gallery, a mystic type who'd helped him track the bullet comments to Dennis's tech. They're gone now, the man said, sipping tea. Destroyed the system myself. Good, I muttered, leaning into Clifford. Those things were a nightmare. That night, Clifford cooked badly. Burnt steak, lumpy mashed potatoes, and a salad that was mostly dressing. I laughed until my sides hurt. You're hopeless, I said, stealing a bite. Learned for you, he said, smirking. Figured I'd better start, since you're eating for two. I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. You know, Jake found your hospital records. He reached across the table, his hand warm on mine. I'm gonna be a dad, huh? Yeah, I said, my voice soft. You okay with that? He pulled me into his lap, kissing me slow. More than okay. I'm all in, babe. The bullet comments were gone. Dennis was on a one-way flight to nowhere, and for the first time in months, I believed him. We were messy, but we were real. And as Clifford's arms tightened around me, I knew we'd figure it out. Together. The bullet comments vanished, Dennis was on a one-way trip to nowhere, and at last I believed Clifford. We were chaotic, but genuine. As his arms tightened around me, I knew we'd make it work. Together.